And we're live. Thank you for joining us today on the Uncensored Entrepreneurs. We're going to be talking a lot about why it's so important to build a personal brand. But most importantly, we're honored to have our special guest with us here today, Justin Prince, the author of Be the One. I just finished reading the book, so I'm really excited to talk a little bit further about this, and we'll see you on the inside.
Welcome to Uncensored Entrepreneurs. We are so excited. We have been waiting for this day for months now. We have had him on the schedule for months now. Justin Prince, welcome to Uncensored Entrepreneurs.
Man, thank you guys so much. What an honor to be on with you. I appreciate you guys having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Justin, I know your time is limited. We've got, you got a lot of things kind of lined up. So we appreciate your time. Our audience does as well. One thing, let's just dive right into it, right? Sometimes we have all these little probing questions. We kind of, sit back and we chit chat for a little bit, but I just want to get it right out there because I'm pretty excited about your book, right? It was just released. In fact, I had the opportunity to hear from you over at Faith Over Fear.
Yeah.
Amazing event. And the book, brother, I love each and every piece of this book. And the bonus material. So I'm going to be asking you a little bit about the story that you've shared about your friend Ray, right? I was inspired by that, so I'd like to kind of dive into that as well. But let's just talk about you and the book and this book launch, and let's have at it.
Yeah, well, man, what an honor to be on with you guys. So the book is called Be the One, and there's really two kind of concepts to it. The first is that you already are the one. If you take your parents and your grandparents, your great-grandparents, if you take the last 12 generations of your life, it was about 400 years, and it was 4,094 people from all over the world that came together to create you. You're the one. You're the one they lived for and bled for and cried for and died for. You are the one, and your life has value and purpose and meaning, and you are the one. And the second part is it's not become the one because you are the one, it's be. And be is a present state. The book, to me, I hope it motivates and inspires, but really I hope it teaches and gives people the practical, tactical steps they need to create and to design and to live an extraordinary life, and a life that is unforgettable, where future generations look up in that family lineage and they say it was her, or it was him. She's the one that changed our family's life forever, or he's the one that broke the generational chains of abuse, or she's the one that broke the generational chains of addiction, or he's the one that taught us the economic principles that, changed our family's life forever. And they're talking about their great-great-great-grandpa or great-great-great-grandma, and that's your story, and you can be the one today.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And I ordered your book last week, and I don't know what's going on with it because it keeps getting delayed. And is your book a hardcover?
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
So my book is a hardcover too. The Be the Ghosted Girl is a hardcover, and it keeps doing the same thing, like getting delayed. And I don't know if it's the hardcover or not, but usually I get my books like in 2 days.
Yeah, hopefully it'll come here soon.
And
you know what? I rarely order. I'm going to be honest. I'm an Audible girl, and I rarely order hardcover books. But this is one that I absolutely signed up to order as soon as I could, because I knew that the concepts that I've known Justin for a few years now, and the concepts that he teaches are second to none, like in leadership and in growth and in committing to going through the pieces of putting yourself together so that you can be the one that changes the generational gaps in your family, and be the one that changes, how you look at wealth, how you build wealth. And it's something, innately in us. If there's like this little voice inside of you that is constantly telling you that you were made for more, that voice is not to be ignored. That voice is there for a reason. And I think that this book is such a good example of that, Justin. And, I've heard a lot of your keynote speeches. I've been inspired by them. I've learned a lot from your teachings. And I think that having something like this to leave a legacy, not only for you, but for your family. You know, I know that you've raised your kids this way, and it's so powerful. So would you be open to sharing one of the stories that's in your books, and talking a little bit? I know Robert was talking about your friend Ray and how powerful that story is. So would you be open to sharing that story with us?
So, you know, my wife and I moved to a place called St. George, Utah. It's southern, it's about 4 hours south of Salt Lake City, about 3 years ago with our family. And my son at the time was 16. And so as soon as I got here, I kind of wanted to get my routine going, my rhythm going. So I found a local gym. And Ray and his wife, Kara, own the gym. Ray is from New Zealand. He's half Maori warrior from New Zealand. He was an All-American rugby player. And then his wife, Kara, is from Alaska. And they're just solid of the earth people, just as sweet as they come. So
they both end up in Utah.
Yeah, they both ended up in Utah. Exactly right. So, and Ray is a former power lifter. He's built like this man is built. He is so powerful. He's not necessarily that big. He's just ridiculously powerful. He's only, a little bit bigger than I am, but he's just so strong. I mean, he's just the strongest person I probably have ever met. So they have 2 little kids, and she was pregnant. Kara was pregnant with her third. And early in the morning, some moms, might relate to this, but early in the morning, her water broke and he could tell something was off. So he rushed her they were doing a midwife, rushed her to the midwife. The midwife checked her and just immediately said, you got to get her to the emergency room. So he's 1 a.m, flying to the emergency room. If you're a parent, you can imagine just the emotion and stress he's going through. They get her on the emergency table for an emergency C-section. The doctor gets in there, reaches into the uterus, and there's no baby. Mm. And the doctor literally turns to the nurse and says, do we have the right patient? They're like, this is yes, this is her. And they start reaching around, and they find the baby had during her prior C-sections, had been a slit open in the uterus, and so the baby had slipped out and was in her stomach, like literally in her intestines. And the baby hadn't had a breath for 10 or 15 minutes, and so they took the lifeless little purple baby and they set it on one of the metal trays, and the baby was dead. The doctor pronounced the baby dead. Ray's sitting there. Now they're trying to save the life of the mother. And he just is like trying to what do you do as a father? And as he's sitting there, he has this feeling that he should go basically give a blessing to his little girl, like to this little baby girl. And he goes, but I didn't want to watch out, nurses, watch out, doctor, he goes, I didn't know what to do. I didn't want to, but he goes, finally, he's like, the feeling was so strong, like go give a blessing to your little girl. So he walks over, he's telling me the story, bawling his eyes out, by the way. He walks over and he lays his hands on this little baby and he says, dear God, please bless that my little girl will be okay. And the little girl goes and takes a breath, right? Oh. And long story short, they grab her and they start kind of resuscitating her. To give you an idea, 45 minutes later, they told the doctor that little girl lived. He goes, the one that I pronounced dead? They go, yeah, she's alive. She's act down in the thing. So they put her immediately on a 72-hour. It's actually a cooler. So you've heard of a heating pad. This is like a cooling pad, because what it does is there's so much inflammation in your brain when you haven't breathed for that long that they're trying to cool the body temperature down to see if they can, how much brain damage she's going to have, hearing, sight, will she still live? So for 72 hours, it was just this total, people were fasting and praying, and it was just this total moment, Long story short, 72 hours, this little girl lives. And this little girl is now, a couple years older. She's completely healthy. It's like this Old Testament miracle. Well, he comes over to my house. His wife's still at the hospital, and he's got his 2 little babies. And I pulled my wife aside privately. They were in our backyard. And I said to her, I go, are you cool if I write Ray a check? And she goes, of course, go for it. So I wrote him a check, put it in a card, and I handed him the card, and he drove home, and he sends me a text message that says, there's some things you can only say in person. He said, I'm coming back over. He said, I just opened up your card. So he knocks on my door, and he walks in, and he just hugs me, and he bawls like a baby, like snot bubbles bawling on my shoulder. And to the point where I literally thought to myself, Ray, I love you, but you're going to kill me, because he's just so strong. He's just squeezing me so tight,
Great.
Yeah, I was like, I love you too, but you're going to suffocate me, And I said to him, I said, Ray, let me share this with you. We're both kind of wiping the tears back. And I said, have you ever heard the concept that you could give a man a fish or teach a man to fish? And I said, if you're open to it, I said, that money that I've given you is gone. You do what you want to do with it. And he said, I couldn't. He said, I think he had $247 left in his bank account. So he goes, I wasn't gonna be able to pay rent. Wasn't gonna be able to pay the heat bill. He goes, you have no idea what this does for our family. He's like, literally like saves our life. And I said, Ray, I could just give you the money and the money's gone and I'm good. Like there's no emotional attachment to it. You do what you need to do with it. I said, however, if you want, I am happy to like help you and teach you and share with you some concepts and some principles. Well, long story short, he was $100,000 in debt. This is only about a year plus ago. At our last check, he was $30,000 in debt. So he's knocked off $70,000 with the strategies we put in place.
Wow.
Awesome.
And I told him, I go, Ray, you'll be a millionaire in 10 years because Ray came from a really troubled background, foster homes multiple times. His brothers and sisters are in and out of prison. One brother OD'd. They were in the gangs back there in New Zealand. And so no one ever taught him any of this stuff, none of it. And I'm just so proud of him. And again, most importantly, this beautiful little girl is healthy and mama's healthy and
Absolutely.
their family's just this beautiful family. But, you know, he's learning the financial principles that will change not only his life forever and his family's life forever, but it will change the generations moving forward. You know, Ray will be the one. Ray will be the one for that family.
So are
That's
there
it.
financial principles in Be the One book?
I think what Robert's talking about is we did some pre-launch bonuses where I taught that specifically. Those specific ones aren't, but a lot of the strategies to like learning how to focus, learning how to eliminate distractions, building systems and frameworks to get away from all your distractions, all that stuff's in there, and that's all the stuff that you need to start accelerating your ability to generate income in your life.
Yeah. Absolutely. And so a couple things real quick. Thank you for sharing that story. I thought it was impactful, and I wanted people to hear that for a few reasons. One, I know that story resonated with Christina as some things that she's been through. And Justin, my wife and I, we had, or I'm sorry, my ex-wife and I, we had a, yeah, I got to set that straight. I got to set it, which one? Okay. But we had a child that was born terminally ill. And so we lost a child at 2.5 years old. But that changed everything for me. Right. And in fact, it's when I started to get into personal branding, because I realized that personal branding was much more than just logos and color schemes. Right. It was mindset. It was heart set. It was soul set. It was the entire alignment of those three things, because at the end of the day, right, products and services, they come and go. But who you are, who you're aligned with, who it is that you want to serve, and why you want to serve those individuals is the most important thing, right? So we're talking about personal branding, and your book talks all about that. To be the one isn't just being the one that breaks generational curses, because you talk a lot about that as well. But it really identifies principles that should be put in place way before products and services. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, of course, for sure.
I
I mean, one of the things we teach in the book.
I want to learn those financial principles. I'm like, I'm the one. I want to learn.
You're doing it, sister. You're doing it right now with just, adding value to people. That's what, so the word hero, we all want to be the hero. We all want to be the one, right? We want to be the hero to our kids, hero to our spouse, hero to our community, hero to our business. Like we want to be a hero, the superhero. The word hero comes from the Latin of roots, which means the servo. And the servo is the servant. And it's like the way that you become the hero is you serve people and you add value to people. So service to many leads to greatness. That's how you become the one, become the heroes. You add value and serve other people. And, one of the first things I think we have to do when it comes to personal brand is update our identity. We have to get past this thing of who am I? Why is anyone going to listen to me? Like, what do I have to say? We have to get past some of those self-limiting beliefs. And I know I had to go through them. I'm sure you guys did too. Like just kind of like putting ourselves out there and the negative comments and the whole thing. And when you do that, success is an identity process, and you'll never outperform the way you see yourself. If you see yourself as a loser, you won't show up and play like a winner. If you see yourself as a winner, you won't roll over and quit like a loser. Like over time, you'll be consistent with the way that you see yourself. And I share the story in the book about a dear friend of mine that I worked with years ago in one of my businesses named Jaime Molina. So Jaime lives in Southern California, he's married to his wife, Ramona, just the sweetest couple ever, 4 beautiful daughters. He works in the financial services industry and very devout in his Catholic faith. Jaime serves the youth in his communities, particularly the troubled youth. And he tells them a story about a man whose identity was E9400. His name was E9400. And E9400 grew up on the border town of Texas, El Paso, a border of Mexico and the States. At age 8, this little boy was introduced to alcohol, became, regular with alcohol. At age 9, He was sexually molested by someone 24 years older than him and became sexually active as a little 9-year-old boy. At 14, he was introduced to hard drugs. At 15, was a mule for the cartels. At 24, was convicted and sentenced to on 11 counts and served multiple years in San Quentin, one of the roughest prisons in America. And, Jaime tells the story of E9400. And one day he walks into the class and he says, "I've got a special guest for you kids." And they said, "Who's that?" And he goes, "Remember the story of E9400? He goes, "He's out in the hallway." And the kids are like, "What? No way." So he goes, "Let me go grab him." He goes out to grab him and he walks back in, but it's just Jaime. And he walks up and he says, "I am E9400. And E9400 was his prison identification in San Quentin. That was his ID. That was his identity. But you are not who you are. You are who you were born to be. And you are not what you did. You are what you repeatedly do. Jaime wasn't born to be E9400. He was born to be Jaime Molina, the devoted husband to Ramona and the devoted father of these 4 beautiful daughters, and, devoted in his faith and in his financial services business. He was born to be the man that could serve these kids. And you say to yourself, who am I born to be? What role am I born to take? And, our ancient ancestors, like the Anasazis here in Southern Utah, they would write hieroglyphics on the wall, on the rock walls and so on. Why? Because they wanted someone to know that they were here. Well, today, your personal brand, you can leave it through video. You can leave it through, the stuff you write. You can go out there and you're doing a video, but what you're really doing is you're imprinting. You're imprinting on people's hearts.
That's it. Yes.
And you update that identity to say, I'm the one that can do this, and I'm the one that can add some value, and I can get past the self-limiting beliefs that I have, and I can get over the negative comments others say about me, and I can do this in a way that's positive and uplifting. And so that's I think where the personal brand starts with, is just that identity update to be the one that does that stuff.
Absolutely.
Well, don't you think too that like a lot of people get into business and they think, okay, I want to create a certain lifestyle with my family, or I want to make a lot of money. And then you realize that money is not always the solution to all of your problems, and you have to find a bigger purpose. And, when you talk about what you're able to do and what you're able to gift, those are the things that really people are willing to work for. When it's all said and done, we had our housekeeper that comes every couple of weeks here. She messaged us last week and she's like, I don't even know what to do, but my sister's in the hospital. She doesn't have any insurance and I have nobody to ask for money. We're in big trouble here. Is there anything that you can do for us? And, we got to have this conversation in the car with our daughter and talk to her about why we work so hard. It's not necessarily for our family. It's for the multiple generations of families and the people that we can impact and the good that we can do in this world. And I said, there's never a time that I want to say, or I'm going to have to say no. I want to always be able to say yes when things like that come up, and not worry about the money, not worry about getting money back or anything like that. It's never like that. But when you decide that you're going to be the one, when you decide that you're going to do more, there's a pull to do what you want to do, but it's more so what you can gift and the legacy that you can give to others and the impact that you make, because there's a ripple effect to that, right? And so we were able to do that and also show that example for our daughter, right? Because our kids, they don't listen to everything that we say, but they definitely watch everything that we do, right? And so we get to show her and be that example for her. Whereas, the way that I grew up, and, we were very, very lucky to have everything that we needed, but we didn't have anything extra. And I always dreamed of being able to help people in a bigger way and make a bigger impact. And you do have to reinvent yourself. You have success as an identity, right? You have to learn how to get over all your own crap so that you can move through it and help the people that truly matter. And that evolves over time. Your mission evolves over time. How you serve people evolve over time. And in the end, all it comes down to is that basic gift of service. This is who you are, no matter what, no matter where you go, no matter what you do, you're going to serve the people that you have as community. So I really appreciate that story. And I'm sorry for the tears about the birth story. We have something very similar happen with Izzy, and she's fine now. But man, like our kids, like they can pull on our heartstrings more than anybody else.
No question about it.
Absolutely. So Justin, based on time, and we're going to ask you a couple other little things here to at least close out. And obviously this won't be the last time that we have you on the show. So it's an honor. How can people reach you? What's the best way, website or anything else to get your book? Yeah.
So, you can go to IamJustinPrince.com. The book is wherever your favorite books are sold, right? So Amazon, Spotify, it's going to be on Audible here real soon. We're still waiting for the upload. And then, IamJustinPrince.com, but then across all social. So either Justin Prince or I Am Justin Prince, and, put out a ton of content to be able to see if I can, help to inspire you to, really tap into that full potential that you have to really be the one you were born to be. And so, man, what an honor to be on with you guys, and really admire what you're doing, and the value that you're adding, and the way that you're showing up and serving people, the way that you're building your personal brand that's imprinting, on the hearts of other people. So I just really this is like kindred spirits, it's like my kind of people.
Absolutely. Yeah. It was a perfect alignment. And so we do appreciate, again, your time on that. And again, for those that are just tuning in or watch the replay at any point in time, we have our guest, Justin Prince, the author of Be the One, just came out kind of hot off the press. The universal roadmap to create, design, and live an unforgettable life. I absolutely love that. You can reach him further at uncensoredentrepreneurship.com. You can order the book there as well, or directly from Amazon, of course. And we appreciate it. Does anyone have any closing remarks for Justin? We're going to keep rolling with the show, but we know that he has another engagement as well. Anything else?
Thank you so much. I'm going to definitely look into your financial principles, because I am the one to.
So Tina, just send me an email and we'll get you squared away.
Thank you so much, Justin. I appreciate you guys. Go get your book, because you're going to be the one. We're going to be the one.
That's right. That's right.
Appreciate the great work, guys. Sure appreciate you.
You as well. Talk to you very soon, Justin. Thank you.
The comments are coming in. The book is amazing. I'm reading his book. There's so many principles in there. Oh my gosh, learning financial principles. It's just it's so great. So great. We need to teach people. We need to teach resources that will help others. I love his story about Ray.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I'm going to give you that, but I also want to teach you a couple things too.
That's right. Well, and that's why I had mentioned that right before we got into the show. I really wanted him to share that. Christina, when I asked you the other day if you heard it, I knew this was going to resonate with you. It did with me as well, and I'm sure everyone, right, that's tuning in.
I just seen Christina's face.
Yeah, but what I think there's a few things, right, that are drawn from that story. First and foremost, it really shows the character of who Justin is, right? Yeah. And more than even that impact, has changed Ray's life forever. Yeah. And showing him not only that there are people that can care and take care of him in that sense, but there were two things, underlining things that I really got out of that as well. And that was when he revealed to Ray the financial situation he was in, his prayers were answered. So, prayers work. And the fact that resonated, and it just happened to come in the form of, someone like Justin to be able to help him. Amazing. The other thing is, and unfortunately, not all of us are in that situation, right? Where we had children that, were unfortunately, taken too early. And not all of them, have the exact outcome that Ray did. But with that being said, what an amazing testimony to, again, prayer. And as I even just stated earlier, that has been my catalyst in life. When major traumas and pain, we've talked about this before on the show, happen in life, you can either one, let them consume you, or you can acknowledge them and then really figure out a way to not only continue to move forward, right, but to use that story to help, right, others that are in that particular situation. And so we talk about that a lot. Beautiful testimony. And then
it's that glow stick story,
Yeah, exactly. I was just actually going to lead into that. Exactly.
Like it was that piece where you're almost broken to the point of no return, that something happens, something in you happens, something in your family happens. And you're like, you know what? No more. It stops today. I'm no longer going to do this. I'm no longer going to be a victim of this. I'm no longer going to, let Satan take over. And it's like, that shirt says, not today, Satan.
Yeah.
And they turn things around, and they are able to shine brightly, just like the glow stick does. And it's just, that glow stick moment.
So having that for us as coaches too, right? Like, or as mentors for people in business, for people that lead a team, often, we think about all the things that we have to go through personally to break these generational curses, to
Right.
live outside the box, to do something different than everybody else. And it's a very small percentage of people that actually make their way all the way to the top and get through all of these emotions, all of these setbacks, all of the things that hold them back. And it's not an easy route. It's not the easy thing, by the way. Not everybody makes it in that process.
Yeah.
And I heard, like, what I heard was being that for your family, but the other aspect of that is like you're being that for somebody else.
That's it,
He was
right
that
there.
for Ray. He
Yep.
was that for people that he's touched in his life and led in his life, and that's the same for all of us, right? Is that we do than most people on most days, right? And sometimes you think, oh man, I work so much and I don't get paid enough to do this. But when you have a story like that, when you have an outcome where you can hand over somebody some money as a gift, where you could do the right thing, right? Where you can involve people and help them. Our nanny, who I love, is going through a rough time. And we've talked to her a little bit about the business that we're starting down here and like how we can involve her and how she can make a little bit more money and we can involve her kids. And like, you have to look at the big picture instead of just like a tunnel vision on what, where you are at right now. And the harder you work, the more you do, the more you build yourself. Somebody, it was one of my mentors, Janelle Delgado, that said, your first million, you grind your way to the top. It is sweat equity and it's so freaking hard. The second million you make with what you learned, your mind, with what you learned in the first million. And then the third million, you have other people execute your ideas and have other people help you make that, right? And so there's this progression, but you have to become the person required to do that. Anybody with a $50,000 a year job and a mindset cannot make 100,000 or 500,000. You have to personal develop through this whole piece. So I would love to like switch into gears about talking about personal branding, because I know a lot of us have sold different products over the years, right? We've all had that experience and maybe shifted in spaces, shifted careers, right? Like I was a hairstylist. I sold a ton of products as a hairstylist and then shifted that into online marketing. And the truth of the matter is, people buy from you. They really don't care about what the brand is or what the color is or what it is. They buy because they know, like, can trust you and because you've somehow added value to their life.
It's so interesting you say that, Christina, because I mean, for 15 years, I taught gratitude and how to build client relationships and client retention and the follow-up and, all of that. And I was telling you guys earlier that, I got so good at it that people are like, what business you should join? And I'm like, that's a tool that I use, actually. They're like, oh, because I never said it. But, and now, I mean, we all started out. When we started out, what did we, what did we coach on? What did we try to sell, right? Like I was selling client retention packages and gratitude and all that kind of stuff. And I'm still the gratitude specialist, but now I'm like more into the publishing and stuff like that, the publishing and marketing side of it.
Right.
But I still maintain Tina Torres, the gratitude specialist, the whole way through, and not Tina Torres, this one company or this one company, what I mean? So you have to brand yourself. And you are.
Absolutely. And I'll even take it a level even deeper, right? So when I work with a client and we talk about personal branding, the first thing they're thinking is immediately everything you just said, Tina, like, and on the surface, what's my logo going to look like? What color scheme should I use? How should I, what's some of my verbiage and my copyright, all these things. But with what you said there, Christina, it's so key. It's our duty to, first of all, there's broken people out there just waiting for us. There are broken people waiting for you. And so it's our duty to actually step up to that calling to be able to serve these individuals. And all of that doesn't come from products and services. It actually comes from whom you can relate to. It's your audience based on your experiences, right? And so I always say that, and you've heard this probably before, but I talk a lot about the fact that your personal brand is what people say about you when you leave the room. And so let's keep expanding and kind of unfolding that a little bit more.
See what Starr has to say, because she has so many products and services that she offers. Like every single week, I'm like, oh, you sell that too? Like, oh, you do that? some of the ones I don't even know. So
Mm.
Starr, tell us what do you do to keep your personal brand? I mean, because I know you're not going to go and sell way over here and sell way over here. It's all in your circle, right?
Yes. Well, one thing I want to talk about real quick, because I feel like I didn't get to chime in on that combo. So I'm
Yes.
going to jump back and I'm going to come to personal brand. I'm so sorry.
It's like, wait, hold on.
One thing I feel like in my family and over generations is like you pass the baton to one another. And it's like your grandmother helped you get one place, right? Then your mission is to get the family a little bit further ahead. But I like, the concept of you, like being able to expand beyond that. I don't have to
Yes.
be like one step ahead of my mother or one step ahead of my grandmother, right? I can really create impact and help and serve so many people. And really that's what I inspire to do now. So I'll get into the branding piece.
Yeah. No, but everything you just said really relates to that, right? At the end of the day, it's your DNA that becomes a portion of your brand. So
Yeah.
Yes, definitely. So one thing I wanted to say, Tina, is a lot of my clients are always looking for like, what should I name my website? I want to name it this. And I'm like, why are you not just branding yourself? Like my website
yes.
is starcom.com because
Thank you.
I might
Okay, so Starr, I tried to get Tina Torres, but Tina Torres is a big, huge porn star in Texas.
I figured.
So I can't get on top of her no matter what.
Yeah.
Point intended.
But I mean, I literally have watched clients like go into one niche and succeed, and maybe they made six figures. And we see a lot of people pivoting right now, and it's like, oh, what's my website going to be now? And it's like, I told you then to brand yourself,
Right.
brand your name. Yeah, but I do, I create a lot of products, and I have started multiple companies, and I think it's very important to understand that certain products are not going to always be in demand for various reasons, whether it's, what's happening in the economy, maybe
Right.
people have the money to spend, or that product is just no longer in season, right? And
Right.
so for me, I've started different companies, and then once it's time to pivot, I'm able to quickly pivot, right? I'm not like,
I literally take it off your website and add something else on there because it's still going to be starcon.com.
and I will say this with my hair company, I never wanted to brand myself. I've always been like a behind the scenes person, and I hired professional models. And now that I've gotten into coaching and like I'm helping and serving others, and I am actually branding myself, I'm like, why didn't I do that?
Exactly. Been seeing like now you see the power behind that, right? Because you can again, and I hope that with all those, especially those that are in like network marketing, that's just one particular sector, because we've all been involved with it at some point in time, where products and services, they shift, they come and go. Everything you just said, Starr, supply and demand. Plain and simple, we've seen that actually in the last few years, because some companies have actually changed their entire model because they can no longer even receive the products and services that we used to get from other countries or whatever it may be. So if you personally brand yourself, you can plug in different products and services at any point in time. It's about people knowing that they, again, know, like, and trust you. They've built that factor and that reputation, and they know if Starr, if I can trust Starr with hair products, then I can also trust her with my nail products as well, right?
Yeah, and it's so funny because I think that the number one thing that people get hung up is like the name of their brand, and I'm like, why isn't it you? I don't understand why it's not you, because even if you work for a company, products come and go, and people fall in love with those products, right? Yes. But a lot of us who have been in network marketing, sometimes the first company isn't the last company, and you move around a little bit. And sometimes there's companies out there that don't want you to have a personal brand, right? They want you to be the brand and the face of the company. But we've all been around long enough to see companies come and go as well. And if you're not building that trust and value, and the only thing that you offer is that product, and that something happens out of your control, something happens to that product, and you don't have a personal brand, right? And this is what I've been trying to teach people over the last year, is that like, look, there's a lot of distraction out in the marketplace. And by the way, none of it is new. Like all of these products, different variations of the same thing, some are more potent than others, and you've got to, your product is better than my product. And none of that matters. Honestly, none of that stuff matters. If you love the product, you've gotten results from it, then you're going to be able to sell it. But in the same sentence, it's like, if you want to build a big brand, if you want to make a lot of money, more so, like if you want to make a full-time income and beyond, or change your family's life, then you're going to have to build a personal brand. You're going to have to go above and beyond what everybody else is doing part-time. There's no skipping the line on that. And if you look at and model other people out there that are writing books, Tina, that are doing podcasts, that are doing live shows, that are putting out coursework, building communities. I'm a huge advocate.
What you're saying is multiple streams of income.
That's
you
where
don't just have one product. You wrote a book that's going to give you royalties. You have passive income. You have royalties. You have residual income. You have monthly income. I mean, all of this stuff is multiple streams of income that you need to do, and stop focusing on just one product.
Well, don't put all your eggs in one basket, right? Like if you put all your eggs in one basket and something happens, that's where the crazy happens. And especially in an economy like this, you have to diversify. You have to do different things. And I think the trends too are going that way, right? In that as long as you can stand behind something and you love it and you can have integrity when you sell it, then it's not a spammy, gross, I'm trying to sell you and make money thing. It's like, no, I'm representing something I truly believe in. And the pieces that you have to put in place to be known, to gain authority, to gain, credibility. Those are all things that you have to get over yourself and whatever self-limiting beliefs and self-doubt that you have. And you have to go above and beyond what anybody else is doing to be able to build that community of people that will continue to buy from you, whether it's a book, whether it's a product, whether it's a coaching program. Like you have to build that trust, and people are awfully skeptical now after the last few years. So what are you doing every day to show up and add value to these people? What are you doing outside? Like I do workshops all the time, free workshops for people that whether they decide to work with me in the future or not, they're going to get a transformation in those 5 days or those 7 days or whatever it is. And maybe they're going to start thinking a little bit differently. Maybe they are going to start looking at themselves as the one that'll change things. Because in the beginning, I didn't even think about the money that I could make in the environment that I was raised in. All I thought about was get a good, stable job that'll pay your bills. And then you work it for 30 years and then you retire, right?
That's what my mom told me to marry me a military guy so he can take care of me for the rest of my life.
I didn't remember on that.
But also, what you're saying too is I don't ever join a company that I don't believe in the products. I have to believe in the products, but they also have to be working for me.
That's right.
If they're not I don't care how much money you're going to give me. If they're not working for me, I do not want to go out there and promote it. Right. Hi, Christina, Mom.
Everyone knows my mom now.
Number one fan.
She is the uncensored mom. She's going to be our uncensored mom.
We got her and Kelly supporting us every week, right?
That don't work for me, right? And that I don't believe in. And so many, you guys all get them all the time. And I get them I got like 5 yesterday. Oh my God, Tina, the biggest thing here and da 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 da. And I'm like, I already know about this, but if you would have looked on my page, you would see that I have an affiliate for that already. Like, do a little bit of research before you start reaching out to influencers.
It's funny that you're talking about like products and services, and Christina, you were talking about the fact that this is who you were, and then you started to focus on building your brand. Ray Higdon, so a different Ray, right? We talked earlier about another Ray, but Ray Higdon actually had a little video he played today with Eric Worre, right? Most people know who that is, right? Godfather of MLM. But anyways, and yeah, exactly, he really is. And it was so true what he said. He said there's 2 things. We always talk about selling, sell this product, sell this service. Let's just get that completely out of our vocabulary. And if we do 2 major things, and that is educate, you talked about that, Christina, right? Like educate, and then get really good at explaining why. Yeah. And I love that. If we only focus on those 2 things, educate, and then explaining why is the story. It's how it relates to us. Why am I using this product? Why am I in love with this product? It's because of the testimonies. It's because of what it's done in my life or whatever it may be. Like those are the only 2 things that ever matter, because if you share that story, the products, the services, they'll sell themselves.
And you know what too? Like if the product doesn't work for them, like, okay, Christina, it's not working for me. I don't know. I hope to God, and you're not like this, but that you don't be like, okay, Tina, delete block.
What? Do people do that?
Yes. Yes.
They're product shaming you. They're product shaming you.
You're all right, Tina, delete block. And I'm like,
cancel culture is just
you know that if you build a relationship with me, I will refer everybody I know to you and your products. And I don't even expect anything from you.
Yeah.
Like,
And I
that's
think
who I am. So everybody that you show this, if it's not for them, then that's fine. But if you have all these other things, you have your group coaching program, you have your book, you have this, you have this, you have an affiliate for this, you have this. There are multiple things that you can sell to them, right? Like, but if and none of those work for them, they know at least 250 people that it will work for.
Yeah, absolutely. And
relationship.
if you've personally branded yourself the right way, like we're talking about, which really at the end of the day, it's about understanding who you are, to whom you want to serve, right? And so when you're building these connections and you're building these relationships, when people know, like, and trust you, it's okay if your products and services don't work for everyone. But if they truly know, like, and trust you based on what you said, Tina, then you know what? Just try this and see if it works for you. And most people, because of that relationship, will do that. And you know what? It may not work for everyone. Each person is just we're made up different, right? I'm pretty sure that Starr's product would not look good on my head right now. I don't know.
Actually,
or maybe it would. I don't know. She could probably
have these little nail plugs that you can put.
She could probably hook me up with a new look for sure.
These little hair plugs.
Yeah. But I'll tell you this, because of the relationship and the fact of that personal branding piece, to where I absolutely know, like, and trust Starr, I'm going to refer other people to Starr. And that's really the compound effect of being able to personally brand yourself. And then let's kind of bring it back a little bit. Think of all the companies that you've been involved with over the years. And many people in our audience, or those coming on later, could probably resonate with this. And that is, you're no longer with that company. But what bridged the gap when you went on to other products and services? What allowed other people to continue to follow you along that path? And it is your personal brand. It's the way you relate to people. It's your story and your impact. Don't miss that piece. And when I talked earlier, again, about there's broken people just waiting on you, right? It's our duty to actually serve these broken people that you can relate to and connect with. That is so powerful. And so the last little element I'll just throw in on here is, it doesn't have to be perfect. There's so many people that aren't doing a podcast like we are. There's so many people that are on social media, but they're not getting out there live or spreading their message about their products, their services, their story, whatever it may be. It's because, they feel like everything has to be perfect. Yes. And so I kind of wanted to throw that little element in there, right? Like how many of us just take imperfect action, because someone's going to relate to that, right? What do you think, Starr?
Yeah, definitely. You have to take imperfect action. I wanted to talk about a point in Justin's book that he writes about the 3 C's, and one of those is confidence. So a lot of people are not standing behind themselves or wanting to make themselves a personal brand because they lack the confidence. And he also goes through a series of things that you can do. And this is something that I actually teach my clients as well. It's like, what have you truly accomplished? And what can you prove that speaks against what you think isn't working, that is actually working? And start taking ownership of your confidence. I'm sorry, taking ownership of what you have achieved, so that you can be confident and put yourself out there as your personal brand.
So true.
You know what? No matter where you are in life, where you are in business right now, you're always 1 or 2 streets ahead of somebody who is watching you.
That's
right?
it.
And you can always teach somebody else something. There is somebody that is, what is the book name? Justin's book, Be the One. It's called Be the One. So there's always somebody who you can teach. There's always somebody who is just maybe a couple steps behind you, where you can go, here, come on, this way.
And often, Tina, don't you think, like, often, and this is why I love Uncensored Entrepreneurs, this is why I love this show every Thursday, is that, like, the things that have been the most difficult for us have really shaped who we become, right? Like, you hate it in the middle of it. You're like, this is horrible. I don't want to get out of bed. I don't want to go anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. But those are the things that actually shape us. And when you look back on your life, everything is good. Everything was made to bring you to this moment, even through adversity, even through challenges, even through disruption. Everything is good, and it's happening for you. It's how you cast judgment on the situation. Really, like nobody can make you happy or sad. That's on you, right? Nobody can to irritate you or frustrate you, or and that's often why I try and stay out of judgment and try and not not be a part of any of that, because and by the way, that has been a challenge for me as a hairstylist, as somebody who grew up super defensive, as somebody that was bullied, that just wanted to scream my side of the story all the time, right? Like I've always been with somebody that would defend my choices, but you don't always have to do that, knowing that you're in alignment with who you truly are and what you do. And I think a lot of the times, those tough times that we don't want to talk about, or the tough times that we're going through, are the things that allow us to become more. It's just really hard to see when you're in it. You have to be able to have the foresight, and often, there's a huge difference when you react versus when you respond, right? Just taking some time to let those emotions run through you and realize, like, you are your brand. So many people are like, what's the name of my brand? What's my niche? What's this? You are your brand.
That's it.
Have you ever done a perfect avatar with a client?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like a
I do it every client.
You go down, ask them all the questions, and you're like, and they're like, oh my God, it sounds like me. And I'm like, and they're like, oh.
Yeah, exactly. Your perfect avatar is ideally you, if you peel back those layers, right? The facade and some of the other things that are there. So, how much time do we have? Do we have a few more minutes here?
A little less than 5 minutes. But also, too, really quickly, Christina, what you were saying, no, I think I just lost my train of thought.
Jump in after I just say one quick thing.
Like that.
So, for those that are actually in any type of service, or you're thinking about getting in business for yourself, I always start this way with my client. I always talk about the fact that if you have a roadblock, or it doesn't matter if you're making $50,000, or I should say $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000 a year, we all reach these little roadblocks. And so when we feel like we're stagnant, kind of go back to those basics again. Think about mindset. What are some of the things that are actually like preventing you from potentially moving forward? We have a whole topic. We could dive in on that. So we won't talk all about mindset, but heart set, like, what's your passion and your purpose? Why do you want to do these things in life? And then really soul set, because if you align those three things together, I'm telling you right now that it doesn't matter what you're doing, you're going to be able to 3, 5, and 10x your current business model. So just go back to those basics on personal branding. It will release a lot of this limiting beliefs, imposter syndrome, as we talked about earlier, Tina. And you mentioned that. I always talk about that scale. In imposter syndrome, we're always thinking, man, but I'm not this person, right? I'm not as good as this person, who it is I want to emulate. Yeah. But if you're at a scale of 1 to 10, there's someone at a 0 that still wants to be inspired and pulled along the way by you. So,
and go become a 10.
I did remember what I was going to say. You said to, get out of bed and stuff like that. Find a couple of people that are non-judgmental, that are maybe just a couple streets ahead of you, a couple steps ahead of you, that you can look towards and call on. These 3 people in my life are those people. When I'm having my rough days, and listen, I'm real, raw, and uncensored right here. I'm having my rough days, all 3 of them. I'm like, what? Or my boyfriend. But it's usually these 3. Because my boyfriend will always tend to go to my side and be like, "Oh, it's okay."
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you need that one person that'll tell you the hard truth, no matter what.
Christina's like, "Get your ass out of bed."
Well, you know what? It's funny because I married that person that's like, I don't know why you're not over this yet. I don't know, and I'm just like, okay, but a little bit of empathy would be great.
Kelly and I, we have to figure that stuff out once in a while too.
But then, like, I remember Christina was like, "Are you laying in bed?" I'm like, "Yes."
Get up!
And she's like, "Get your ass out of bed."
I think it's a guy thing, Robert, because my husband's like, "Why are you still talking about this? Why are you?" I'm like, "I'm not over it."
I gotta process all of my emotions.
So, I think as women too, when we come into relationships, right? Like whether it's the people pleaser that we were born with, right? Like that we're we feel a lot worse when conflict happens. I know, and this is also what makes us freaking good, is that we constantly reflect on different conversations and think, where could I have gone differently with this that would have had a different outcome? Could I had a different outcome? Or is this person crazy? Right? And so we're constantly analyzing over and over and over again. Okay, where can we get better in the situation? I think that being able to do that without being pissed off, upset, and casting judgment on the situation, I think that being able to evaluate and adjust course is a superpower. And it's one that if you can do quickly and not get caught up in emotion, if it's one that you can do quickly and use discernment and facts, how about that?
Nice.
That you can actually build your character, build your confidence, build your bravery a heck of a lot faster in business than if you're constantly getting spun up by small problems, by small little things that are constantly going to show up, and like you're constantly playing damage control. Like you learn where to spend your time instead of focusing on the little stuff that really is. I always say to my husband, I remember when Izzy was like a tiny little baby and I put her on the windowsill and she had her hands all over the window, and Ryan's like, she's getting handprints all over the window. and
I said, oh, she's getting handprints.
I know.
That sounds like me. That sounds like me.
Right? And he's so like that. And it's okay. Like that's how we're different. And I said to him, is this going to matter in 2 weeks? If it does not matter in 2 weeks, we don't spend any time on it.
That is so true. That is so true. And sometimes you just got to let kids be kids, right?
Yeah.
Kelly reminds me of that a lot. She's like, remember, she's just 7 years old.
Yeah.
Look,
as soon as you said that
to me sometimes.
As soon as you said that, she commented this.
I know. I felt it. I felt it actually. Yeah.
It's so funny because Izzy will actually say that I have high expectations. I hold high expectations for her. I learned very early
Christina,
on.
Look.
Mama.
Oh, look at that.
I know. And she totally does have Izzy's handprints still from the summer. But like I was somebody that I realized very quickly that your kids will evolve to your expectations, right? They'll live up to those expectations, whether it's in sports or whether it's in academics, whatever it is, they'll live up to that. And so I have these really high expectations for
I thought they were hers.
Izzy's, yeah. And in the process, Izzy will sometimes turn around and say to me at 7, Mom, I'm just a kid. And I'm like, oh, you are just a kid. I forgot.
We all kind of needed that.
I know. Same thing, right? It's like,
gonna be a big sister. What was her first sentence out of your mouth? How are we gonna make money from it?
Yeah. So we need a little more coaching on that.
She's emulating you. She's understanding some
I'm
things.
having a baby brother, but how can I make money from this?
Well, and that's the thing, right?
Sell them.
Right. That's the thing. These kids grow up so fast, as you said. And so sometimes we forget. They act like a teenager when they're not a teenager. And then we treat them like a teenager. And we're like, you know what? You're just a little kid. You can go play with some toys.
Listen, and all of your kids are still at home. So if my kids, like, I wish I had fingerprints on my windows. I wish my kids would come home and be like, Mom, can you make me a grilled cheese sandwich?
You can handle that. Tina, party at Tina's house. We're bringing all the kids.
No kids, no grandkids. They're all gone. So, enjoy those kids. Enjoy the handprints on the windows and windowsills. But also know that the people that you are showing up for online too, they are also watching you. Just like your kids are watching you,
absolutely.
These other people are watching you too.
Yeah. You know what? That's interesting. That feeds right into this personal branding thing, because how often have you had somebody, or you run into someone, or they respond back, you haven't heard from this person in 3-4 years, right? But they all of a sudden talk about, oh, I saw you on this show, and I remember when you said this, and I remember when you posted this, and you're like, what? We haven't talked in years. Yeah. But there's people always watching, right? I mean, good and bad. So we have to be mindful of that. So as we kind of wrap up the show, and thank you so much for those that have been tuning in throughout the process. If you jumped in a little late in the game, I do recommend you go back, watch the replay after it posts here in just a couple minutes.
Hashtag replays, we know.
Yeah, absolutely. Because Justin was amazing. We had an amazing guest on today. That was Justin Prince, for those that missed it. And he has his brand new book, Be the One, out. I highly recommend it. I also recommend just watching his content, getting to learn a little bit more about him and his mission. He's definitely God-centered as well. And I appreciate that. But also, please follow, like, and share
us.
Facebook.com.
These people.
/Uncensored Entrepreneurs. You can find
if
us.
you want to.
Yeah, you can find us all across social media. And pretty soon we're going to be streaming on all major podcast channels as well.
We have a lot of huge things coming up for you guys.
We do. And so, and if you'd like to learn more about just some of the things that we're talking about, you'd like to add some things in, you'd like to share with us in our community as well, please connect with us and feel free to message us or each one of us on, as far as the panel goes. And we appreciate each and every one of you. So any last closing thoughts on building a personal brand before we close out?
It's
Well,
necessary.
Yeah,
Go
definitely.
ahead, Starr. That's all I got.
Change lives every day, and I know this because we actually get feedback about it. So brand yourself, be the one, as Justin says. Check out his book. And one thing that Tina talked about is being just a couple steps ahead of people. A lot of people feel like that's not good enough. We have changed so many lives just from being a couple steps ahead of a person. And we may feel like what we shared or what we taught was not very much, and it's actually been life-changing.
So true.
Have the courage to do more than most, right? Have the courage to stand out. Have the courage to use your voice. You have one for a reason. The thing that is pulling you forward, the intuition that you have to do more, to become more, to be the one, that intuition is not there by accident. That is your soul mission. It's there by God. It's there with purpose. And, it was planned well before you were born. And it's up to you. We have free will as human beings, right? It's up to you to follow along and be obedient and act in service for other people around you. And you never know how that's going to unfold. Like, you have no idea what opportunity is going to land in front of you. I never thought I'd be an author. That wasn't even a foresight for me. And I didn't think I'd have a podcast. I never thought I'd show up on social media all the time either, right? And when I first started doing that, there was a lot of adversity. There was a lot of people that were saying, oh, I don't like that you're doing that. What are you doing? And people would avoid me, right? Like, oh, is she going to try and sell me something? And it's so interesting because now we've evolved, 8 years later, we've so evolved into this culture where I think multiple streams of income, having different things that you represent, can offer people, because not everybody's going to want to buy your product. Like Tina said, not everybody's going to want to write a book. Not everybody's going to want to join your coaching program. They may join your coaching program and leave. Right. And say, this isn't really for me. Okay. What were you expecting to get out of this? Maybe I can recommend you to somebody else. And if you have that kind of integrity in business, if you have that kind of mentality, then you will build a global business, and one that will last a lifetime, because you're doing the right thing. As long as your intentions are good, right? It's all about intentions and how you show up. And if you have good intentions to serve people at their most basic level, and often that will evolve, often that will change, right? Your audience may change, who you become change, you attract different people. If you continue to seek things that will help the people in your community with their most basic needs and what they're going through right now in the world, not what they were going through 5 years ago, not what they were going through a year ago, but helping them right now, then everything shifts, and you'll never be out of work. You'll never be out of money. You'll just constantly evolve forward with the people that are most like you, which is actually pretty amazing.
That's absolutely true. Absolutely true. Tina, any other thoughts?
I mean, you guys I just love it. What you said, Christina, is right on time. You just need to be yourself. Be yourself, because if they don't like you, then they're not your people.
That's right. Business is so much more than products and services. It's the people behind the brand. And at the end of the day, the brand is you. Yes. And so I always say that if you need to step back or trying to figure things out, focus on you first, mindset and heart set, all those things in itself. And then you can plug in any product and service and be very successful at it.
Definitely.
So definitely appreciate each and every one of you chiming in. And again, just as a last little thing, because I did love it. I wish we could have had him on for the whole show, but we will have him on again. Justin Prince. If you'd like the book, go to IamJustinPrince.com. You can get his new book, Be the One. And once again, we appreciate each and every one of you.
We'll see you guys next week on Thursday, 1 p.m. Eastern, Uncensored Entrepreneurs.